Hello again, everyone. Welcome to what is the third in a series of our construction careers Q&A sessions. For those of you who I don't know, my name is Alain Lefebvre and I'm the manager of workforce programs for the Construction Association of Nova Scotia. Want to thank everyone who tuned in for our first two sessions, for anyone who got an opportunity to watch that either live or as a recording. Want to thank all of our program partners as well for their support and allowing us to take on an initiative like this one. Again, the purpose of these sessions is to allow anyone who's interested in exploring a career in construction or in the construction trades to give them the opportunity to do that from kind of the comfort or the safety of their own homes, even though you'll see our two guests today are certainly not coming from the comfort of their own homes. Also, really, we think it's important, these opportunities, to be able to hear directly from the industry professionals and the tradespeople themselves, hear from the people who have boots on the ground, not just, what you can find by Googling a trade or any occupation within the industry. So we are really glad to have this opportunity. Some very quick virtual housekeeping. Again, the format is a Q&A, kind of an interview type session. We have the CANS team prepared a few questions. We did receive a couple questions in advance by email as well, but anyone watching, I do encourage you as well to ask any questions you might have through the Q&A function you'll find on the bottom of your screen. I'll keep a watch on that and make sure that nobody gets missed. I will add as well that these sessions are also being recorded and are being posted to our website, www.buildingfutures.ca, as well as the Nova Scotia Department of Education and Early Childhood Development YouTube channel. So anyone who isn't able to catch the sessions live are able to go in after the fact and watch the sessions and see what they're all about. Once again, we are live. We have been very fortunate, knock on wood, not to come up against any IT issues yet during any of these sessions, but realistically, it's only a matter of time. So if we do have any hiccups, folks, please bear with us. We'll try to get back up and running as quickly as we can and try to remain as professional as we can. As explained last week and in the first two sessions, that each one of these sessions are going to focus on an industry professional, or in our case today, two industry professionals. The sessions are also going to focus on specific trades or construction industry occupations. And today's session is going to focus on the plumbing trade. So joining me today are two Red Seal certified plumbers. We have Ben Pitts and Adam Hill, both from Iron Dog Inc. Thank you very much, Ben and Adam, for making the time for us this afternoon, taking the time out of your busy schedules. I can see you're both in your trucks, which is fantastic. I think is really good, a good starting point and a good illustration of what, certainly a career in plumbing can look like. So before we jump into it, because there's two of you, I'll kind of do my very best to direct the question and to a certain one of you, and then allow the other one to add anything to it if you like. So maybe what I'll start with is I'll direct it over to you, Ben. First, can you maybe just tell us in your own words what a plumber is, what a plumber does?
Well, it's a long list, but a plumber is essentially just you touch in all trades. I mean, yeah. Plumber not only does drainage, venting. You're touched into laying out with ventilation. You're touched into laying out, take an understanding on basically every trade that surrounds you. Plumbing is, there's a lot you learn in the plumbing trade. It's a really good trade to start out in, really, because you're hand in hand with every other trade.
Yeah.
And if you don't have an understanding on structures, electrical, gas, anything. You know, it's teaches you a lot.
Okay, very cool. Adam, anything you'd like to add to that as far as what what a plumber means to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ben was hinting at it. I mean, it's really broad, and there's a lot of specialized sectors and even niche markets where, I mean, you could take 1,000 plumbers, and every one of them does something different. They might know every single thing about what they do, and maybe next to nothing about what another plumber does, because it can be so specialized.
Yeah.
But I mean, plumbing and generically, I mean, it's, people think of the guys that come into your house or in your building and work on your toilets, your showers and stuff. And at that bare bones level, it's, we get clean drinking water into your house. And then after you use it, we find a way to get it out of
Yeah.
there.
Excellent. That's really well put. So for the next question, I'll start off with you, Adam. Maybe could you just tell us a little bit about Iron Dog and what your kind of specific role is?
The company as a whole, we're a full mechanical service shop. So there are gas fitters, oil technicians, HVAC technicians, and then plumbers like me and Ben. And then there's different avenues there. We have new construction stuff, and then we have service department. So personally, I'm in the service department, which means the majority of my calls is when something breaks or needs to be upgraded, we get called. So for me, I kind of have there's a lot of gratitude around mine, because when I show up to a building, someone's in trouble.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of thank yous. Thanks for coming. You really helped us out. Where I think Ben might find in the new construction is, can you go faster? Where can you save us some more money? Get moving, get moving, get moving. So in the service department, I mean, for me, we see a lot of people, a lot of different people all week, every day. It could be, I mean, you could do one job a day, one job a week, but you could also do 5 or 6 jobs a day. So for me in service, like, we're kind of the guys who are the helping hand and doing good for people.
That's interesting. It's, I don't think there, and I can certainly speak for myself. I don't think there's a full understanding out there within the general public and certainly young people growing up of how kind of massive and how varied the one trade can be. It's really interesting. Ben, over to you now. So Adam seems to work on the service side of things. What would be your role at Iron Dog?
Well, I start off, I try not to make service work for Adam. But no, I deal a lot with engineers. Everything I touch is engineered and decided on. You really, really have to know the prints and specifications on certain things. It's like the Bible. The biggest thing, I mean, like, we go right from the dirt all the way through. We right to the fixtures, to the boiler rooms, to firing up heat and running water. There's a lot to it, and like Adam said, there's a lot of pushing. It's a big push. I mean, not only to make money, but get the job done and get yourself a good name and get the company a good name. And it's a lot of work, but it pays off at the end. I mean, gratitude at the end sometimes comes.
Excellent. So next question, I'll stick with you here, Ben. And I ask this of everyone who we've had on these sessions so far, is thinking back to when you were growing up, maybe in high school, maybe in junior high, maybe even after. Did you have an idea that you wanted to work in the construction industry or specifically in the plumbing trade?
Well, I mean, I kind of had no choice, really. But my dad was a plumber. My uncle was a plumber. I started at a real young age. I initially wanted to be a mechanic, but you need a lot of patience for that. So, no, once I started with plumbing and the amount of stuff I got into, whether it be service or heating and stuff, I see that there's a lot of change in the trade, day to day, month to month. Really enjoyed it, and puts you to I guess it tests you a lot. So I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I mean, I could say, yeah, I wanted to be a plumber since I was young. Yeah.
I got a question coming in on the Q&A, and we'll throw it at you here first, Ben, but Adam may have something to add to it as well. How often do you find yourself working in confined spaces or at awkward angles?
Myself, quite a bit when it comes to getting a sewer main or a water main into a building. You're in a tight spot, coring a hole to get through foundation. Sometimes I'd say maybe 10 to 15% of the time you're in a tight spot.
Interesting. What about you, Adam?
Confined space, not so much. A lot of the work we do are in buildings that are already existing and whatnot, but the body contortion and stuff, like crawling into cabinets and trying to hang down wall spaces and get the plumbing that's been buried but now failing. We get in some pretty weird situations body-wise. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of body contortion going on.
Very cool. So Adam, same question that I threw at Ben. When you were growing up, did you have an idea that you wanted to end up in this industry or working as a plumber or tradesperson?
No, not at all. I mean, I remember in school in like grade 2 or something, you had to draw a picture of what you wanted to be when you grew up, and I could only draw a car, so I just told everyone I would be a taxi driver. But later in life, I was going to go into business. I was going to university taking business courses.
Okay.
And I'd taken a year off and moved out west to BC to play rugby for a year.
Okay,
when I returned home from there just for a couple of months for the summer, I just got a call from a buddy and said, like, hey, what are you doing for the summer when you're home? I said, not much, I'm just going to kick around at mom and dad's and then go back to British Columbia in August or September. And he said, well, I just became a journeyman. It was a family business. He said, my uncle's going away for 2 months. Yeah. So I'm going to take his truck, see how things go. And then when he gets back, they might add a fleet. So he said, go hire a helper for 7 weeks until I get back. And anyway, I was there for 4, and he called me from away and said, hey, like, heard good things. Do you want to do the apprenticeship? I basically just took a decent paying laboring job with a buddy to hang out with for the summer.
Yeah.
And it just turned into a career. It was just by fluke.
Okay, interesting. I've seen another question, great question coming in from the Q&A, and we'll stick with you for that question, Adam. Many people think that you need to be, big and strong to get into the trades. Would you seeing it being, as being maybe small or agile, if someone was that, do you think that would be a benefit to a plumber?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we get service maintenance jobs where the smaller guy is going to get that job.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're going to be the one that fits there. You get into another one where there's some heavy objects, and the first pick is going to be the 2 bigger guys. Yeah. But realistically, like 98% of the things you're going to do out there, 95% of the things, there's a proper tool and a proper technique to do it at any body size, body weight, whatever. You just need to use the right equipment to do the right task. Yeah. And anyone should be capable of handling almost any job out there.
Very cool.
Certainly there's things where, if you're stronger, it might be a bit easier, but there's going to be things where if you're smaller and can kind of lean in somewhere, you're going to do that job more efficiently. So, there's a fit for everybody.
Interesting. Flipping over to you now, Ben. Adam mentioned kind of briefly there his apprenticeship and that process. How did you end up becoming a certified plumber? Did you do a pre-apprenticeship program through, one of the community college, or did you end up doing a direct entry apprenticeship?
When I started, I got grandfathered in.
Okay.
So I ended up doing the blocks on the 3rd and 4th. I got I started it when I was young. I lucked in. I got some hours accumulated, and they counted. And it was just before they took away the grandfather clause.
Okay.
So when I started, I still had to do the 6 weeks, and it was very hard, and I mean, it's just something if you take a liking to and pay attention. There's some good teachers there.
Excellent. On that note, have you had an opportunity, to bring on apprentices yourself and kind of train and shape them?
I've trained a lot. Yeah, I've had a lot of apprentices across Alberta, BC, and Nunavut. I've had a lot of different, it varies from girls to guys, and I mean, some work out, some don't. Some feel like they want to go to the wholesaler and work. Some don't like the, out on the job site itself. I had a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, one of the questions that I typically ask later, but I think now would probably be a perfect time since you talk about some of those apprentices working out and some not working out. The ones that kind of have worked out for you, are there certain qualities, certain skills that kind of stand out with those folks that allow them to be more successful than others?
Eagerness.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Walk with walk with a good stride.
Yeah.
That goes a long way. Try to think of the next steps, what's going on, even if you don't know. There's an old saying, work smarter instead of harder. But yeah, there's a lot of traits. A guy had a young fellow out of Ontario. He didn't know what a Phillips screwdriver was, and he's got a ticket. He's got a plumbing ticket and a gas ticket now, and that's what he did every day. He walked with a purpose, and a lot of people noticed him, and a lot of people liked him, and he worked really hard. And as you work hard, you learn a lot from a lot of different people, right?
That's right. Adam, same question to you. Have you had a chance to take a handful of apprentices under your belt?
Yeah, I think every apprentice at any company I've been at, they've all gone on and become journeymen themselves. None working only under me, but under multiple journeymen at the companies.
Sure.
But as far as I know, as far as I remember, every apprentice at the companies I've been at have all gone on to get their tickets. And the biggest thing is just always be willing to continue learning, because I think technology and government regulations, they change so often that the industry has to change. So if you're willing to learn, you'll be good, and just continue to always learn and have patience, especially in the service division. If you got patience, you'll be good, because there's a lot of troubleshooting things that you can't walk in and push a button necessarily and make it work. You might have to look at a lot of things, think about a lot of things, look up old manuals that they stopped printing 30 years ago. So, the internet's a real good thing these days, because you have access to some technical literature that you may have never had before. But you just have to have patience a lot in the service department when it comes to troubleshooting issues.
Yeah. Interesting. So, you've alluded a little bit to, how things, continuous learning and the importance there. How, I guess, what would be the biggest way that you've seen the industry or the trade change since the time that you started as a plumber?
I started late, so I'm at it just about 15 years now. I was in the late 2006, 2005 when I started. But even since then, online industry is the biggest thing. Okay. Communities online have grown. So if you work for a small mom and pop shop where there's only 2 or 3 guys and their business is fixated on one type of work, and then you come across something different, you can reach out online. There's a lot of help out there where people are willing to help you, even though they're not making any money off of helping you. And then a lot of the manufacturers and a lot of the industries, these webinars and stuff, and especially since COVID has all come about, they've really ramped up putting out technical webinars to help improve people's knowledge of the industry and the new technologies, new products, and all that. So I think the online base is probably the biggest change, certainly for the better, just for ease of accessing information.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to go back to school every 2 years to learn something new. And I mean, I stopped school in 2010, so if I didn't learn on my own, like, that's 10 years almost of, you know, things that have changed and happened that I need to learn about that somewhere, right?
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, there's a world of resources at your fingertips, that's for sure. Maybe Ben, circling back to you for kind of the same question. You know, and it sounds like you certainly have been in the industry. You've been working as a plumber for a number of years. What has been the biggest change that you've seen in the trade? Oh, I think I've got you. I think you muted your microphone, Ben.
Hey,
Oh, there we go. Now I got you back.
good. Yeah, I had someone following me there. The biggest thing I had changed, I think, is basically, like, the technology is crazy now. Engineers change like the wind.
Yeah.
So job to job, things are getting newer products out. There's a lot of change since I started. Yeah, in all aspects. I mean, we're going from cast iron to heavy old sinks to plastic to, you know, it's obviously getting better for the earth, but and it's getting a lot lighter on us. But no, I mean, commercial jobs, some of the schools and stuff like that, like, they do stick to the old way, copper, cast iron, you know, especially old folks home and stuff for quietness. Cast iron, a lot of cast iron stuff when it comes to that. But again, it's all in my end of things. It's all in what they specifically want for the job, and whether it's just changes all the time. Yeah, huge changes.
Ben, you've mentioned a couple times now working closely with engineers. Could you give us maybe just a quick explanation of that relationship of a tradesperson working with an engineers?
Well, the engineers is worse than an inspector. So when an inspector comes in, and an inspector that knows the trade, that's basically what it is. And then they put on a print. If they come in a job site and they don't see what they wanted, you take it out. You put what they want. At the end of the day, it's the architect's decision, because when an architect draws out that print and they don't see what they drew out, that's a problem. So that's why I say the specification and the print is just like your Bible on the job. I mean, blueprint reading is huge. There's a lot of little ins and outs for prints. There's things that you could look at a print all day long and miss something very, very important. Specifications, huge. Things like that. You know, it's engineers are good if you're really due diligent on everything you do. You get a good relationship with the engineers, then the jobs they really go good. So
that's great. That's interesting. Going back to you now, Adam, and I got a question coming in on the Q&A again. And that's a great question. What would be the most important thing to know if a young person was considering a choice between the plumbing trade and maybe the steam fitter, pipe fitter trade?
For me, I mean, I'm obviously going to say plumber, but I mean, the thing is, you're going to live somewhere for the rest of your life, and there's going to be plumbing in your house. So to me, you're going to want to know how to fix the things that you own. So I mean, I'm certainly going to push towards that, because your family, your friends, like, you're going to be the one that's going to be able to help them out. The steam fitter, pipe fitter, I mean, that's going to be a much more large-scale commercial and industrial application. Depending on how how things are going economically in an area. For me anyway, being from Newfoundland, it shifts where the steam fitters, pipe fitters, sprinkler fitters, they do, there's big turnarounds. They'll do lump years where they're traveling for X number of years, and then there's a boom for 4 or 5 years, and then they're home for that period, but then they travel again. So I found with guys in that trade, their future is kind of, it's up in arms as to where they might be working.
Okay.
But I mean, if you like traveling and stuff, then usually if you work for travel, you do make a bit more money. So, that'll come down to a personal preference. If you like being near home, or if you like being on the move and experiencing new places and that.
Yeah. Excellent. You mentioned money, and without getting into specifics or putting anyone on the spot by any means, certainly when we are, going out to schools and promoting careers in construction and careers in the trades, one of the things that we always like to highlight for students is the benefits. Obviously the full benefit package, but salaries being a part of that. And we promote that to students quite a bit. Can you tell us, in your experience, how does the salary of a plumber match up versus the salary of, other kind of common occupations, say a teacher or, a police officer, firefighter?
For me, being in British Columbia, Newfoundland, and Nova Scotia, and then friends in Alberta, I mean, I know a lot of plumbers that made over $100,000 a year. So I mean, you throw that comparison out there against those other individuals, and I think the plumbing industry, it can be quite high if you're doing well for yourself.
Yeah, interesting. Ben, maybe same question to you. Again, I know that you've been in the industry for some time now. Again, how do you feel that salary as a plumber matches up versus other occupations?
Very well. It's like Adam said, if you want to travel, it's upward. Like, I've traveled away from my family for over 8 years, and yeah, you're well over $100,000.
Wow.
If you're in a good trade and good position. Obviously you start at the bottom of the ladder, but when you're traveling and you get some good jobs, the bottom of the ladder is pretty damn good.
Yeah, absolutely. You've talked a few times now, Ben, about traveling in a number of different locations, and you're currently located in Cavendish, you say. Can you maybe tell me a little bit about kind of the importance of being able to be mobile as a plumber or as a tradesperson?
Well, I mean, a lot of people don't like traveling. When you have kids and stuff like that, sometimes there's no choice. But I mean, being mobile, you never know where you're going to be working. You could be here now I'm working in Nova Scotia, thank God. Thanks to Iron Dog. I could be in New Brunswick. I could be in PEI. I could be in Halifax. I could be around Antigonish. I could be all over the provinces, right? But yeah, you got to be willing to go wherever. I mean, if there's a job that comes up that's 3 hours away from home, you got to say yes and let's go.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard, and a lot of companies respect if you say no, right?
Yeah.
But when you're starting out, you want to say yes.
Yeah. Another question that I'll direct at you to start here, Ben, and you mentioned you've had a number of apprentices, male, female, and we've also talked about some of the changes obviously in the industry since you guys started. One of those changes has been kind of diversity in the number of young women and other underrepresented groups, pursuing careers in the trades. What would you say to a young woman who was considering a career in plumbing?
Be no different than saying it to a guy. Like Adam said earlier, there's tools for proper things if they can't get lifted or anything like that. I mean, there's ways to get it up. There's my biggest thing, and I say it a lot, work smarter, not harder. Your back and your legs got to last you for a long time. So, I mean, to say to a girl. I mean, it's just no different to me. The way things go now, like, there's a lot of ladies in doing electrical. I see a lot of pipe fitters. It's more and more as the years go on, which is good to see. I've had 3 girls in Grand Prairie. They worked, but they ended up wanting to go to the wholesaler.
Okay.
But not so much that they couldn't do it. It's just they felt that they wanted to go to the wholesaler instead.
Okay, interesting. Adam, maybe same question to you. What would you say to a young lady interested in a career in plumbing?
It's like Ben says, it's the same to anyone. If like it is a physically demanding job in that like most of our work requires some sort of movement. Like with the real heavy stuff, like those days are somewhat past where you need to be able to be the strongest guy on site and all that, because there's proper tools and techniques for doing things safely. And safely means not lifting things that you shouldn't be handling hour after hour all day long, right? So I mean, physically, there's no reason that anyone couldn't do the same task. Not in our trade. Everyone should be able to handle it. If you're interested, then it's be interested because you're going to be slightly active at work. It's not a sit still job, and that applies to anyone. It's just if you're a person who likes to be moving around a bit, doing slightly physical things, and I mean, being coordinated, and that sort of stuff helps. But I mean, the physicality part, I mean, that's days gone past. It's not a necessity anymore. Sure, it's helpful, but it's not an absolute deal breaker or a necessity because there's a way around everything.
Awesome. Really, really glad to hear that. Another question coming in on the Q&A, and I think I'll direct it to you, Adam, certainly on the service side of things. And the question is, can't have a plumbing Q&A without addressing the elephant in the room. How much poop do you need to deal with? Kids want to know.
Typically, I'm lucky enough to stay away from it. Iron Dog, we do a lot of heating work.
Okay.
So the bulk of our service generally is on that side of the plumbing.
Yeah.
But we still do deal with the drainage stuff. And just so happened yesterday, I was in full suit, mask, completely covered, and I was down in a sewage pit 20 feet deep, and there was a lot of it down there.
I bet.
I saw everything, and all the other things that go down the toilets that don't belong down the toilets, they were all there too. So
that's right.
Yesterday I was fully in it. So, but I mean, it depends where you work.
Yeah.
There are companies that they'll clear drains all day, every day, and that's their company's bread and butter. There's other companies where you'll never touch a toilet. Like I've gone to school with guys who literally didn't know how to fix their toilet at home, but I mean, they could go throw up a $20 million building and do all the heating pipe to it, but was unsure about the mechanisms inside a toilet. So I mean, if you don't want to do toilet work and the poop stuff, then you don't have to. There's a way out of it.
That's awesome. Great answer. Coming back to you, Ben, and this will be, I want to be respectful of your guys' time. So I think this is the last question I'll direct at you guys before doing a bit of a wrap up. What kind of piece of advice would you give any young person about to pursue a career in plumbing? What's kind of the one thing that you would say to that young person?
One thing to say to them. Oh, that's a hard one there's just quite a few things to say to them. If they really want to, give it their all. I don't know. It's kind of a hard question. I guess go in and be ready for whatever. It's kind of a hard question to answer.
Yeah, I know that's a tough one, putting you on the spot a little bit, but I'm going to do it to you as well, Adam. Kind of one last piece of advice to anyone who's considering a career in plumbing.
I think with me and Ben, both of us, we worked in the trade before doing the formal education part. I think if you're slightly interested in it before you jump into that 1 year of school and then find out maybe not, go beat on some doors, knock on some doors, and see if you can get a laborer job at a plumbing company. Try it out. Like, you'll know pretty quick once you're around it whether or not you enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, and that's what happened with me. I mean, I was there a couple weeks and I knew right away, like, I could do this forever, and I would like to do it forever, and here I am now. So if you're eager and you think you might have an interest in it, go knock on some doors, try to find someone to hire no student for the summer. Like, there's always ups and downs in the industry, so you might luck into something where you can get a month position as a trial, or they might look at you as cheap labor for a month, and then you see where it kind of goes.
Yeah, perfect opportunity for me to put our plug in for Iron Dog, because they're certainly a company that has provided a lot of those type of opportunities for students, whether through our programs like Building Futures for Youth or other co-op programs or programs through NFCC. I know Iron Dog and certainly all the staff have been very helpful and very supportive with that. So I'll give one last opportunity to any of our folks attending virtually if you want to ask a question. And while I'm waiting for that, I will just, I'll do a bit of a quick wrap up. I do want to absolutely thank Adam and thank Ben and thank Iron Dog for making the time for us this afternoon. Great conversation, really insightful, and I'm always I'm always excited to see the passion that comes out whenever I speak to a tradesperson. It's always quite obvious. So I do really want to thank you guys again. Want to thank Iron Dog. If after today's session, anyone who has seen it and didn't get a chance to ask a question, or anyone who sees a recording and wants to ask a question, by all means, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I can certainly connect with Ben or Adam, kind of get you the information you're looking for. Again, please visit www.buildingfutures.ca, where you can see today's session recorded. You could also see that on the Department of Education YouTube channel. And again, I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you as well to all of our program partners and all of our supporters and everyone who attended virtually. And I want to say keep an eye out as well for next week's session, where we're going to be talking with Superintendent and Red Seal certified electrician Jason Jodry from Black & McDonald Limited. So really appreciate you guys today. I will let you get back to work.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. All the best.